You know what? I completely forgot to freaking plug in my Ethernet cable, but wirelessly, Wi-Fi 6, I'm still getting the upstream I need. Hopefully it's not going to give us any issues. So I didn't know Nemesis or Crypto and Hot Rods is going to be going live today. I've been planning this since last week, so my apologies, Nemesis, on everything. I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at the screen, but I need to be talking to you guys. So here's what's going on today. We're going to be doing another teardown of the RTX 3080. And if you look behind me, right there, you can barely see it. $2,000 camera that my friend let me borrow. So really expensive camera that my friend let me borrow. It's a flare camera. And I was looking at the thermals of my system and everything, and specifically the 3080, because the 3080 has been giving us the most trouble. Unfortunately, I can't do I can do a split screen. It's just going to be a blank black screen because there's no signal. The computer's over there. We need to tear down this guy. So I'm just going to throw on some music, get to work, get started. I need to move. I got all kinds of thermal pads, thermal paste, but more importantly, I got Captain tape or high temperature tape and a thermometer with some thermocouples. So when I said during my live stream Saturday, think Gamers Nexus of mining, what I meant was what we're going to do is we're going to try to go a little bit deeper. I haven't done this. I never done this, but we're going to try to go a little bit deeper and add some thermocouples or thermal sensors to the back of this GDR6X and see how hot it's getting, because unless it's nice and cool out, and I'm here in Florida, it's been cool for a couple days, it does still thermal throttle. Now, Red Panda Mining hasn't had any issues, but he's in Canada. I'm in Florida. That's pretty cool. Alright, so these are the two I need. These two are rods. We don't need these. And then here's the meter itself. So this is going to be a little bit of a long one. I will have a summary stream, but we're just going to go ahead and tear down this GPU, clean it up, add some thermistors, and see how it goes. There's some screws. Alright, so this is all I really need right here. So we're just going to put that back in the bag. Toss that off to the side and get started. I am off work for the next couple of days. I plan on streaming for a while, buddy. I'm sorry, Nemesis. I've been planning this since last week, and I said this during my Saturday live stream. We're going to be tearing down the Gamers Nexus of mining. So we're tearing down the RTX. Let me just switch over here to teardown shot. We're going to be tearing down this GPU again, cleaning it up, but then we're going to use the thermometer and thermistors to get some readings. I'll try to go as fast as I can, but I've never done this before, to be completely honest with you. So I'll throw on some music and get started, and we'll see how things go. Pretty much. Liquid nitrogen. Yeah, we could use it for liquid nitrogen. So we can use this if I get the LN2 pod and me and Nemesis go in on it. I can use what I have now. That's one of the reasons why I got it. Sorry, I turned around there. That's one of the reasons why I got it. And Nemesis, I'm really, again, my apologies for interrupting anything that you had planned, buddy. But I can use this same meter for monitoring the pot temperatures and everything. Perfect shot. That would have sucked if I went behind my desk. So let me throw on some music. If you guys want my attention, you're going to have to @ me. Let me know if the music is too loud or anything like that. But let's just get rolling because I don't want to take up too much of Nemesis times. Especially if he wanted to stream and all of a sudden I'm in his way. middle. It sucks that we can't just remove the back plate. We gotta tear down the whole GPU. Let me know if the music's too loud and you guys can't hear me. Sucks that we gotta tear down the whole thing, which is really stupid because really the only main thing that's holding this back plate on are screws on this side. So there's one, two, three. Those are the only screws that are holding this thing on. So turn that down a little bit. Okay, remember last time these freaking fan headers gave me a really hard time. Okay, that's one. We can leave it like that and just go straight for the back plate. Gonna have to disconnect these connectors. I know Red Panda had his slightly loose. I don't think that had a major impact, but who knows. Definitely adding these thermal pads did improve the results. And Red Panda, if you ever watch this, I'm getting oily moisture on the top side of the memory modules as well. Dang. Come on. Dude, these thermal pads are seized to the back of this thing now. No screws holding it on, yep. Don't want to bend the PCB too much. There you go. Let go. Alright, these thermal pads are on here now. Alright, good. Look at the indentation in the memory modules. It's pushing really hard on that. Are those thermal pads the same size? So did the top ones 2.5 on the top memory modules? Well, maybe 1 mil for the VRMs and stuff. It's definitely a little bit thicker than what I had. That's probably why there was so much pressure. a tiny guy. Okay, so we need one back here. Actually, let's do this GPU first. All that expensive thermal paste. Definitely non-curing. Thermal pad was falling apart. The ones that Gigabyte provided us stock. That's very interesting. Alright, 2 emo for me. What are you guys doing to me here? Come on. Get out of here. Sleigh bells. Sleigh bells. It is Christmas week. I guess we could rock with it. The fun part's gonna be seeing how hot this thing gets. There's more residual crap from the damn thermal pads than there is from the thermal paste. Ugh. I hate how much oil's on here. It's a lot of oil. Alright, how are we gonna do this? Actually, might not be a bad idea. What you guys think? I'm not even looking at the live chat. No backplate. What you guys think? Yeah. K-type. Just trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this. Okay, alright. Come on. Think. Yeah, we could rock with no therm, but we're gonna have. Well, we need the back plate because it's the connector. Gonna need power because Gigabyte did this weird thing. All right, let's just put it on so that way I could get the K-types mounted up. Steve from Gamers Nexus, I hope you are watching and can help me. Yes, there's no thermal paste yet, I know. I'm just mounting the sensors first. And going from there. Gonna need some scissors. Alright, so the really hot one of them will be right here, but we're going to have to mount it in such a way like that. Come on. God, this is some shiny music, man. What is going on? Just need some copyright-free music. Anybody got a website they use? think this thickness of this wire is going to get in the way. Give it a shot though, it won't hurt to try. I think Steve and the team actually take that white thread off. Yeah, that thickness is gonna mess with the thermal pad for sure. I'm not bothering mounting the second one because, again, the wires are too thick. I think Steve, like I said, Steve and the guys, I'm pretty sure, take off all that white braided cording around the sensor to make it thinner. Either that or I just got the wrong ones. But let's see if we even get a reading. The thermal pad should add pressure to it. And rather than use my really good thermal paste, we're just going to use regular cryo knot. No point in wasting it because I'm going to have to tear it down again. Alright, everything's looking good. Let's try to keep that from bending. What is it, Emo Sunday? Come on, man. Give me something upbeat. All those lovey-dovey stuff. Come on, bite. We got it. Alright. Whether or not it's going to give us a reading is a different story. Gonna have to replace that thermal pad. That's why I got extras. Okay, over here. Of course. One, two, three, four. Come on, OBS, don't crash on me now. It's just getting good. Alright, so don't want to move that wire too much, but we're going to have to angle it out and towards the front of the computer case. I hate the way Gigabyte designed this card. There we go. Gigabyte, do better. Don't design it this way. Alright, because of the thickness of the wire, I didn't want to bother putting the only other hot spot I would think, other than the one down here by the PCI slot, if I remember right from the flare, was this right here. But we're going to go for the hottest point and see if we can get a reading on that. Looks like we're good. Let's test it out. I'm going to hook it up into the system. Just hang tight for me. The silver ball is my mic. Snowball. I can't turn you guys around, so just hang tight for me. got the thermal probe facing towards the front. Give me a sec. I'm gonna get a little bit loud. Oh, she's a heavy girl. Oh, she's a heavy girl. She's thick. Woo! That's a huge. Just plugging in everything. Hang on, guys. Oh, this thing's heavy. Okay. Now the question is, does this thing already have a 9-volt battery? Doesn't feel like it. It does have a 9-volt that came with it. Probably a crappy one, but let's see if it'll get the job done. It's getting warm in here now. I haven't even started mining. Okay, so big guy, small guy. Oh, that's what the screw's for. Huh? Okay, so we'll put the bottom in first. So T1, T7, T2, I mean. We got a reading, 24C, okay. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get you guys down here to see this. Give me just a sec. Alright, gotta do some maneuvering. I haven't powered up the computer yet. Let me figure out how to get you guys down here. Hang on. Just unplug that. Unplug this. Let's see if I switch cameras, if you guys can see this. $24. Let me know in live chat. Can you see that very well? Or do I need to make some adjustments? We're powering on right now. The beeps are normal. Move this tape. That's not good. Don't have any monitor output. There it is. Okay. Let's plug that in. We're getting sound. And the reason we're not getting any monitor is because of the damn capture card. There we go. Alright. 3570. I just told y'all my pin. Who cares? Okay. Why aren't you picking up? Yeah, you can see me regardless because you're on the laptop. The question is if you can see. You see the thermocouple. Okay. Okay. Cool. Or thermometer. Come on, capture card. What the hell? Now I can't get the capture card pickup. Alright, well, we can see this. 32C is where that thermal probe is. I'm going to go ahead and open up hardware info even though you can't see it. And get some mining going. At least maybe do the dual shot even though we can't see the capture card. Wow, that resolution is horrible. Come on. There you go. Alright. Back in action. So. Okay. Let's see what's going down. Alright, so now the main part of the stream is finally here. Yay. A window's still over there. So the cameras are working, but the screen isn't. Alright, so anyways, I haven't set any clocks or anything yet, and we're at 86 mega hash. Looks like we need to restart the system because it's not detecting the drivers. Hang on. Yeah, it's not detecting the GPU. Interesting. not detecting the drivers for some reason, even though it should be. Let me check the debug LED code. .48C right now is what it's showing. Alright, now the screen is picking up. Alright, cool. Let's see if Nemesis is YouTubing. If he's still waiting on me. Yeah, see? Alright, so let's just get some data. It remembered my settings. What we're looking for is thermal performance limit. Yes. $52, $53, still climbing, $54. And that backplate would get super hot during mining, extensive mining. That thing is still climbing. Jesus. So the system is reading that it's thermal throttling, but the memory temperature is at 62C. So something else is thermal throttling. What is thermal throttling? Hash rate's dropping because it's hitting thermal limits. The card is hitting a thermal limit. Red Panda was able to get better with the Gigabyte Gaming OC, but for the Gigabyte Eagle, it's still hitting thermal limits even with thermal pads added. It still hits thermal limits. So let's try increasing the air. Because in the mining rig it did a lot better. Of course it would. But let's try increasing the airflow. It's gonna get loud. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. These Noctuas get pretty loud, so hang in there. Ah, that was loud. Jesus. Sorry. Because that backplate can only absorb so much heat before it's maxed. So I'm wondering what else it could be. So watch the power too up here. It's 217, right, at the current clocks. And then once we hit thermal limit right here, this one, it's going to drop to around 200. We should be sitting around 220, but closer to 100 mega hash, and this card clearly cannot do it. $57. The highest we saw so far was 60. Yeah, the Gigabyte cards are, that's why I made that video. Rejected share, because it thinks the memory clock is too high, but we're not thermal throttling yet. I get rejected shares too when it comes to the 3060 Ti, which is now in the main mining rig. Well, that wasn't the point of the video, Crypto Mikkel. The point of the video was to see if we can actually get a reading of how hot these memory modules, that at least the backside of the PCB, is getting. And the highest we saw so far was 62C, but that's not enough to thermal throttle. The T-junction of these memory modules is 110. So something else is thermal throttling, and I don't know what. This is very disappointing. I'll tell you one thing. Let me show you the images I took. They're going to be a little bit small, but I'll show you. So yeah, we drop down, hash rate drops down because we hit the thermal limit. The power drops down to around 210. And then this is where this card gets stuck at. As far as the Gigabyte Eagle, good news is Red Panda Mining's Gigabyte Gaming OC will perform a hell of a lot better than mine by adding thermal pads. They're basically built the same. Maybe I just got a bad batch or a bad, I didn't win the Silicon Lottery. But anyways, let me show you this. This is pretty cool. Let me move myself out of your way and move this out of the way. So you can see here the back of the PCB. It's actually the 1070 that's being the hottest, but then when we point to the back of the Gigabyte card, it's around the same temperatures that we just saw. 62, around 62C, somewhere in there. It is horrible that you have to buy stuff just to modify your card so that way it can perform well. We're stressing these cards beyond the limits. I mean, they're intended for gaming, not so much for mining, but it just so happens that they're so good at mining. I mean, the 1070 and the 1080 Ti are hotter than the 3080. Like, look at that. 73C, 74C. even with the K-type thermocouples connected to the backside of the PCB of the hottest spot, which is that lower memory module closer to the PCI slot, I mean, these other cards are a lot hotter. The only difference is GDDR6X versus 6 or 5X and so on and so forth. That is the HP Server Powersupply that shows you how hot that thing gets internally. And then here's an ATX Powersupply from Thermaltake. Very interesting. Certain parts of that power supply is getting really, really hot, but all within spec, so nothing to worry about. However, when we move over to the AMD rig, you're going to see something very concerning. But that's the overall thermals. The blower style cooler is obviously the hottest. Moving on to the AMD rig, we got the ASRock is what we're looking at on the far right. The ASRock 5700, XFX RX 590 Fat Boy, and then on the left the PowerColor PowerColor 5700 XT. Now the PowerColor doesn't have thermal pads on the backside, but the memory modules are still within spec. 80, 84 in my house because it's warm here in Florida. You can see, actually, we're looking at something on that riser. You see that? That riser is actually pulling power. Good thing I got it connected to a PCI connector rather than a SATA, because that riser was pulling some juice. And we could tell by the heat output. So that's why it's very concerning when I see some users using SATA, because not all cards, some cards you can run off of SATA, but not all cards. So it really comes down to maybe testing and finding out what's what. Now the XFX card running perfectly fine, well within spec. The 5700, I can hold my finger on that back plate for a good little bit before actually getting burnt. I do have calloused hands, but not that bad. But the 3080, I can't even hold it there for 3 seconds without burning myself. But there you go, you can see the temperatures of the back plate, and then when I center it, let's see here, that spot on the right bank closer to the I/O of that GPU is the hottest section, 46C. But still, again, well within spec. Internally, though, on hardware info, it's going to read about 8086C. So very interesting. Again, I'm going to have a summary video of all this. Now, looking at this power supply, look at how hot this thing is getting. This is one power supply powering the 5700, 5700 XT, and the XFX 590. Look at how hot that one bank is getting back there. That's concerning. This power supply is at its limit. I cannot add any more GPUs onto this system without getting an alternate power supply. That thing showing 92, 93 Celsius on that one power distribution block is a little bit scary. And then here's again the same temperatures we're getting now with the K-type thermocouple, and still this GPU is thermal throttling when mining. It thermal throttles more in my computer case than it does in its mining rig. In the mining rig, I 100% agree with that. My case is not as airflow efficient as the open air bench, but it shouldn't be thermal throttling that bad. It really shouldn't. And you can see the hot spot is more in this lower left hand corner, which is where we put the thermal couple. So I don't know, man. Gigabyte just didn't really help us out too much. So anyways, let's turn this back on. .3 is where we're at right now, which is fine. Here's another picture of the Gigabyte card, and it's right where our thermal sensor is, and it's right where we've seen the temperature of 62, 63. So, but that's on the outside. What this hardware info is measuring is internal silicon, and it doesn't give us any memory thermals, unfortunately, which really sucks. So I guess I'm just SOL, guys. I got a dud of a card, and there's nothing I can do about it. Adding thermal pads did help. Compared to the 70 mega hash I was originally getting, I'm getting a lot more. 88 even with thermal throttling, but I'm not going to be able to hit the 100 mega hash that some people are able to get. Some people reported, let's see here, let's go to Newegg real quick. If you're new to the channel, I'll give you my recommended RTX 3080 GPUs. If you are interested in getting it specifically for mining, it's going to be the Asus TUF is a good one. The Strix is good, but it's a little bit outside of the budget. For the Win 3 is doing pretty good. The EVGA XC3, the Ultra or the one above it is good, but the black, meh. There have been some reported issues with the black. Unfortunately, we can't run no backplate on the Gigabyte card because the way to design the power delivery. But the EVGA black doesn't come with a backplate, so I'm not sure if anybody has that. I know Nemesis has got the 3090, but I'm not sure if anybody's ever tried that without the backplate on the 3080. Besides that, the MSI Trio is pretty good, or the MSI Trio. And I haven't heard from the Ventus, but these two Gigabyte cards I would steer clear of if you can. Just get the Asus TUF, the Trio. The Zotac, even though a lot of people made fun of them as far as the gaming and the whole MLCC and SMDs and yada yada yada, I heard not your normal miners having no problems with the Zotac mining. We have more problems, me and him, with the Founders Edition. So maybe get Zotac if you're considering a 3080 for mining. So Zotac Trinity, MSI Trio, Asus TUF. I haven't checked out the Ventus or heard or confirmed from the Ventus yet. And then Asus Strix and For the Win 3. And if you haven't signed up already, I do have notifications in my Discord, but you could always go to evga.com, go to their products, and sign up to get notified if you haven't already. But if you're only just now getting signed up, you're probably going to be way late and not going to get a notification. But you just go to the GPU of your choice, click auto notify, fill it out, submit. You got to have an EVGA account in order to check out, but that's how I got my GPU. So obviously not the Gigabyte one, but the 3060 Ti and stuff like that was on launch day because I signed up prior to. We do got the 6700 on its way, but unfortunately this 3080, I'm just going to use it for gaming. I might mine on it a little bit, let it sit around this 80, 88, 89, 88 mega hash, but unfortunately, even with the thermistor, we're seeing what we're seeing on the back side of the PCB, which technically should be fine, but it's still not. Something's going on. So I'm probably going to tear down that GPU again off screen, and then reapply the thermal paste of my choice, and maybe replace it with, because Red Panda used this thermal pad, which is 8 watts per meter Kelvin. I'm using G-Lid, which is 12 watts per meter Kelvin. They're both perfectly fine and get the job done. I'm wondering though if the G-Lid is too good, where it's sucking up all that heat, putting it into the backplate, and the backplate's just absorbing all that heat too quickly, and once it reaches that thermal threshold where it can't dissipate anymore, it's not really helping. So here we go, we hit the thermal limits again. Our power just dropped below 200 watts, which a lot of people reported issues with. The reason why you're dropping below 200 is because you're hitting thermal limits somewhere. And so look at that hash rate just drop like a rock. Just sucks, man. The best setting that I found for this card was minus 400. And this is just me playing around with it. It's not going to get any better. TDP set at 65, which isn't going to do much, and then like, 300 on the mem. That's the best one. Otherwise, we get these low hash rate right here. So it's worse than before, and it's because that thermistor, the wire itself, is too thick, right? So we got this wire. I believe Gamers Next is what they did is they stripped down this white coating and so that way you just have nothing but this flat wire right here, and this thickness of this white wire is interfering with the thermal pad as well. And so I'm pretty sure that's, if we're getting an accurate temperature reading, but we're not getting a very efficient hash rate. So it just sucks. What I was thinking, Pedro Felipe, do you think that the heatsink may solve the problems? So yeah, I was thinking about taking an H212 heatsink, which is, you know, the Coolmaster heatsink, putting a thermal pad on the back side of the PCB, like we're like in the middle, I guess you could say, and a nice little like tiny thermal pad, like 0.5 millimeter square, and just slapping the H212 on there and seeing if that helps out. But then we got this freaking heatsink sticking up from the GPU, and it just looks really tacky and stupid. But we shouldn't have to do all this, as Mr. Frosax1 said. We shouldn't have to do all this. PNY 3080, 3090 cards are good too, but check the thermal pads on them. Okay. I haven't got my hands on a PNY. I don't plan on getting one. I'm pretty much done with the 30 series for right now. I got the 3060 Ti, I got the 3080. I don't plan on getting the 3070. If the new generation 3080 like Ti comes out with 20 gigabytes of memory, maybe. But I'm not going to spend any more money. I spent enough money trying to get these GPUs so I can get the data to the mining community, and have it really recouped that you know, investment, so to speak. Oh man. Dude, we're gonna have some penne for Christmas, Vitalik. Oh, pasteles. Oh, we had that for Thanksgiving. That was good. Let's see here. 3090 are missing thermal pad from factory. Thermal throttled within a minute. Bought minus pad 8, replaced the stock ones, and added a pad on the missing spot. Now it's working at 116 mega hash. See, that's what makes me think I should replace the thermal pads I had, the G-lid, with the minus pads 8s. But I think if I had the 2.5 millimeter, which I don't, if I had the 2.5 millimeter thermal pad to replace the ones on the front side of the heatsink, where the, you know, the GPU, the top of the memory modules and the GPU heatsink meet, if I could draw most of that heat towards the front, like pull it through somehow because of high conductivity thermal pads, rather than on the back side of the PCB, maybe that might help out. I just think I just lost the silicon lottery. This GPU is great for gaming, not so good for mining, which is what I stated in my previous video if you haven't checked that out. And I'm just going to be left with it. There's thermal pads on here. Some people get thermal pads on their GPUs and they perform well, hitting 100 plus mega hash. Unfortunately, I can't. But I think you got 116 on the 3090. But I've seen some people hit a 100 on the 3080. So Bagus has the FE and it's hashing at 98.5 at 70 power limit. Yeah, so the FE it does thermal throttle, but it can still hit that 98.5 because of the design that they have. And I think that's the reason why they designed it the way they have, with one fan drawing air up and the other one kind of blowing it straight out, is because they knew that GDDR6X is going to run really hot, especially for memory intensive applications like what we're doing. And here we go, we're dropping down 84. So we're settling at 85. Out there on the mining rig, it would still hit 94 while thermal throttling. But in my case, it's dropping a lot further. So, just sucks. Yeah, the XE3 Ultra is the good one, Chan coined. The black, not so much. Doesn't have a back plate and it has some off and on issues. But yeah, I want to play with the 3080. I like the 3060 Ti, but I want to, you know, I've been raiding, playing some World of Warcraft lately, and I want to enjoy ray traced textures and lighting and stuff like that in World of Warcraft. You know, 150, 160 FPS at 1440p, no problem. Where the 3060 Ti could get 150, 120 at 1080, but I had to turn on the graphics just a little bit if I want to enable ray tracing. And there's like different levels, like fair, good, high, ultra. I could only run it on fair and good, whereas the 3080 I could run it on a lot higher. It does get crazy on any card when it comes to like group world bosses, and it's like hundreds of people spellcasting, but it's perfectly fine. What's the temperatures right now? It turned off again. $63. So we're about to hit 63, 64 Celsius right now. Yep, 64. It just feels like there's nothing I can do. Nothing I can do. You know, memory is subject to silicon lottery too. So maybe my memory is just not as good as what you guys have. Matter of fact, let's open up GPU-Z real quick and see if it tells us. GPU-Z used to not tell us. Yeah, it's micron memory. I'm going to open up the EVGA precision tool. See if it works. And then I have a preset here. Which one was it? Load. Minus 400. Power limit needs to be 68. Alright, so confirming what I already had. Let's go back with a higher memory clock, make sure the memory clock's stuck. Memory clock is there. 2513. But 88. Yeah, that's why I wanted to put this thermistor on there, Chancoin, is to find out what the actual memory temperatures are, but I'm not getting an in-silicon reading. That's what I want. We see here 64 was the highest that the memory temperature got, but I don't know, man. Just sucks. So the 3060 Ti is not as bad because it's GDDR6. 6X, as the gaming world or technology world, especially in the GPU world, expands or grows or continues to break barriers, Joffrey, we're gonna need better cooling. Not only for the back, especially because it's flip chip, not only for the front side to cool the core, but to cool the memory. And manufacturers need to start considering that. Manufacturers needed to start putting thermal pads on the back side of every GPU they built since the RX 5000 series. Every manufacturer needs to do that automatically. It shouldn't just be one or the other. It should always be done. The consumer shouldn't have to do all this just to get the GPUs. Yeah, it's within spec for gaming. We built it for gaming. We understand that. But 9 times out of 10, at least I can say about 40% of the people that game actually do some type of compute workload, whether it's folding from home or folding at home, crypto mining, or whatever. They do some heavy compute work, and when you're doing compute work that's memory intensive, that's where we bump into this issue. We just already hit thermal limits after only doing this thing for what, a few minutes. So all manufacturers should be doing that. As far as the 3060 Ti having issues, no. I recommend the same models only because I trust those vendors to produce a decent card, a pretty good card. Gigabyte does have some good cards. It's just every now and then they have this budget range that they just want to sell it, produce a reference design from what Nvidia gave them, and just get it out and make their money and return on their investment. They should have done better. I don't like the power delivery that they came up with for this generation. I don't like the fact that they didn't have thermal pads. I don't like the design. I don't like the notch. There's a lot of things that I don't like. However, the 10 series, the 1080 Ti Extreme cards are pretty good. And there's even an Aorus 3080 Extreme or Aorus version that doesn't have the notch and everything. I don't know how that performs, but it's just definitely more expensive. So with 3060 Ti, I think a dual fan, the EVGA dual fan design would work perfectly fine for mining. The GDDR6 memory does overclock high, similar to the GDDR6X, but you're not going to have issues. On the EVGA that doesn't have any thermal pads, 3060 Ti, I ran just fine. But I would recommend similar models. So for the Win 3 or the XC3, Trio, Trinity from Zotac, and what was the other one I said? The Asus Tough or Strix. Those would be my top picks of GPUs, just because the manufacturers themselves put in the time and effort to develop these GPUs to work very well. It's just unfortunately not all of them put memory pads or thermal pads on the back of the memory modules. And this all started with the 5700. That's why I have so many videos on the 5700, especially the ASRock Challenger, because that card, when developed, was just bad. I mean, memory temperatures were 108 and T-junction was 110. That you should never have your memory temperatures that high. Clearly, we're not hitting a thermal limit. Maybe the PCI, the memory module closest to the PCI slot, is not the one that's causing the thermal issue. Maybe it's not. Maybe I need to find a different one. But what I saw was it was that one. Maybe I need to RMA this card. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm perfectly content with its 88 mega hash when I tune it a little bit better. But look at the drop right now. What the reason I think it's dropping so much is because the thickness of this wire from the thermistor is getting in the way from making sufficient contact with the back of the memory module. So it's actually hurting rather than helping. But we are seeing 64C. Joffrey, Jeffroy? Is it Jeffroy? I'm sorry if I keep saying it wrong. Let me know if that answers your question. With regards to the 3060 Ti, my Zotac isn't thermal throttling, but I can't stable OC the MEM over 900. My Asus KO will go to 1200 and be stable. CPU-ID will also say whether there is thermal throttling of any kind. Well, we're clearly thermal throttling. We're dropping power. We should be at 220. We're at 200. And the performance limit thermal has been hit. So I'm just SOL with this card, which is whatever. It's great. If I find somebody that's just going to game with it, I'll sell it to them because they'll be perfectly content with the gaming performance. It's just when it comes to mining, it's not so good. Let's see how Nemesis is doing. I'm going to go check him out real quick. Yeah. He's talking about scammers. 'Tis the season, so stay frosty. He's probably putting out some good information out there on it. Because scammers have been picking up, so be careful. And of course, the damn thing keeps timing out. See, as time goes on, though, look, we're getting higher and higher. 64.4. Because its backplate can only dissipate or absorb so much heat. Let me try touching it real quick. Ah, yeah, see? So I can hold my hand on the 5700, but on this 3080, no sir. That thing will roast you. That thing will roast you. Let's let this run for a little bit. We know our hash rate's crap, but let's see what happens. At least I got a good thermometer and thermal K-type thermocouples that I can use for LN2 overclocking once I actually get a pot. But it's just very interesting that these GPUs, like you can see, look at it's kind of hard to see, but the one we're pointing at right now here in the left hand side is actually the blower style cooler GTX 1070, and you can see how hot that thing is getting. Blower style coolers aren't that efficient in mining, but it's the last 1070 I have. I may sell it at some point in time, but it's still profitable to mine on it, so I'm keeping it. But I changed the thermal paste a number of times. It's just the blower style cooler can't keep up with the workload. When I had the 3080, which is right here next to it, and you can actually see, like, here's one card that's off. That's a 760 right here. You can see that's off. And then look at the 1080 Ti, man. That thing is warm. Then you got the 2080 RTX 2080. You got the 3080. Then you got the 3070. And then over here is the 1660 Ti's and Supers. So you can see the 3070 and the 1080 Ti are actually hotter than the 3080. But for some reason, this card is just thermal throttling, no matter what I do. And here's that power supply that I was talking about. So this is the power supply that's running 3 cards. It's an 850 watt power supply, but it's running really hot. That's a little bit too hot for my liking. Whereas compared to the other power supply, which is where? That's the server power supply, 66. Here's the other ATX power supply. So server power supply, ATX power supply. 65.5 on the server, 58.7 on the ATX. And that's a 700 watt versus the 850. But I don't have everything connected to that ATX. It's connected to the server power supply. So I always like, if I'm going to do an 8-card rig, I like to have, especially here in the US with the type of wiring that we have, you got to know your limits, but I like to have a server power supply and an ATX power supply. ATX power supply to power a few cards, motherboard, chipset, all that stuff, and then the ATX power, or the server power supply to power the rest of the components, GPUs, stuff like that. And I like to power all my risers by 6-pin, not SATA, but it's up to you. Because one of the concerning things is on that PowerColor, we saw the riser was getting really hot, so that means it was drawing a lot of power through the riser as well. But I have it connected through a 6-pin. Some cards you'll be fine running SATA, but some cards not so much. Oh, here's the 3060. I did take a picture of the 3060 Ti when it was in my system, and so it looks like the hottest point was 47. Really, the VRMs in my system were hotter than anything, but 47 on the 3060 Ti. Here's another shot, 54 when we got closer, and that's actually where one of the memory modules was when we were mining. So 54.3, and then here's a zoom out of the system, and you can see the VRM was the hottest point compared to the GPU. We got cool air coming in through the front AIO, and you can see how cool the tubes are going into the pump. Pump circulates, comes back out, so on and so forth. But memory, everything was cool. It's just the VRMs on the motherboard, and then of course the GPU memory modules were the hottest thing that we could physically see with that flare camera. It's actually a pretty cool tool. My buddy, a good friend of mine, let me borrow it. 64.4. Let me switch camera views. So, turn on for you guys. Let's see if you can see that. So it's measuring, I put it back to Fahrenheit for him. But you can see, let's see if I got the vid. If you guys cannot get the glare, there we go. Hang on. Nope, no vid. 97.8. Perfectly fine. My laptop's getting quite toasty. So where the CPU and GPU are towards the backside of this laptop, it's 105 Fahrenheit. That's crazy. But yeah, took some measurements of that while I could. And then got the thermocouples so we can see what's going on. And clearly what's going on is the memory in my mind is within spec, but internally it's running into some type of thermal issue. So I'm out of ideas of what to do. I just got a dud GPU, I guess. If anybody else has the Gigabyte cards besides the Eagle, alright, excuse me, if anybody has a Gigabyte card similar to mine, I have the Eagle and Red Panda has the Gaming OC, and you're having issues just like this, comment in the bottom of this video if you're watching this in the future, or comment on one of the videos in the channel, so that way I can add that to my list. Yeah, whatever. I can't turn it around because, oh my god. Max voltage, you just triggered me. Why'd you trigger me? Everybody knows the proper way to do it, but you can't always do it that way because the tubes, one, don't fit, or tubes can't fit in that orientation. Damn it. And it's not Gamers Nexus. Gamers Nexus said it's okay to do it that way. Yes, it's not the best, but it is okay to do it that way. Jesus Christ, people. Alright. Well, you guys go ahead and head on over to Crypto and Hot Rods if you want. I can't post a link in the chat, but let's see here. I'll pull it up on the main computer. So yeah, the hottest temperature we saw was 64.4 C. Nothing too crazy. And well within spec of 110, but still something is thermal throttling. Maybe it's one of the VRMs, maybe it's something I'm missing, but according to the picture, that was the hot spot. And we're there, right above the PCI slot. Maybe it's the memory module. I'll move it around. I'll play around with it off screen. I'm gonna have a summary video in the future. You guys go check out Crypto and Hot Rods if you're not already, and I will catch you later. I didn't mean to. I've been planning this for a while, and I didn't mean to interrupt this stream, but anyways, sucks that I can't get this thing to work. So this live stream was sponsored by dogelord.com, which is currently in the description if you guys are interested in checking that out. Otherwise, you guys have a great day, and I will catch you later on. I'll have a couple other videos as soon as I can. Take care.